I would take the harp and I would lay it against their chest. And I had one lady that's blind, and she was so excited to feel the music all through her
Oh,
body. I couldn't do that with a flute, and with the harp I could.
wow. So it's already become therapy for others and for you, all within your first year of playing.
Yes.
No, you're so inspiring. Wow. So, Jackie, welcome and thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to hear about your harp journey today. So, let's start at the very beginning. Before you started learning to play the harp, how long had you dreamed of playing harp and what drew you to the instrument in the first place?
Well, my story might be a little different. I didn't particularly dream about playing the harp, as you say, but my husband and I have a nursing home ministry, and I was going to the nursing home, and I play the flute. And when I would play, my husband would try to encourage the people to sing, but unfortunately, he doesn't have a very good singing voice. And I told him it's wonderful when he sings, but for him to sing over there because he was um, making me play flat because I was adjusting my pitch to him instead to the background track. But anyway, so I thought it would be wonderful to have an instrument that I could play where the residents would sing along if I was singing. And so I needed something I could play and sing at the same time. And so I thought about guitar, and I tried guitar many, many years ago when I was a child, and it hurt my fingers. And I know that if I got calluses on my fingertips, that would interfere with my flute playing. And so I couldn't choose guitar. I thought about piano, and my son had his wife had a piano that she wasn't using, or a keyboard, and I tried that, and I just couldn't. I didn't take to the piano. And
Mm.
so I had a friend that had a harpsichle, and she had been learning to play the harp. And she says, "Well, why don't you try my harp and play with it for a little bit?" And so I did, and I liked it. And I was able to play some chords and things and kind of plucked at it. And so she needed her harp back. And so my husband and I, because of our ministry, we have a catalog that comes to us from Kingdom. And on the front page of Kingdom catalog was your picture and the harp. And I thought, well, here it is. I can get a harp and I can learn to play the harp. And so I ordered one and started looking at your YouTube videos. So that's how I got started. It might be a little different than most people's background stories, but it works just the same.
I love it. Well, I really love that you came to harp because you wanted to sing and play, because that's actually what I did as well. I also
Really?
specifically learned harp to accompany my singing. For me, it was because I was a singer and I wanted to perform with an accompaniment. For you, you were already wanting to other people to join in, which is just, oh, that's beautiful. I love it. And so you had some musical experience before you came to harp. Was it just flute? Is that your only musical experience? So quite different to move to harp after that.
Yes, I started playing the flute when I was in the fourth grade. So that was some 40 years ago. And I always wanted to be able to sing along with an accompaniment, an instrument. My mother sang, and I would sing with her at home, but I never had any formal singing training. And
Mm.
so when my husband and I started this ministry online mostly, um, he was just speaking, and one of the people listening to him suggested that he have it like a regular church service and have hymns and things like that. And they said, well, Jackie could do that. And so I got volunteered, and I started singing to lead a couple of hymns on our online ministry. And so I would play
Oh.
the flute, and then he would give the prayer, and then I would come and sing a couple of hymns, and then he would give a message, and I'd sing a closing hymn, and that's kind of the pattern we established, and we've been going with that ever since. So.
So is that specifically to nursing homes?
Well, no, it's a church. We are a church, but we're online, and all of our congregants are scattered all across the globe. And we wanted to have a local ministry. And so actually one day a nursing home called us and asked if we would do a service for them. And so we started doing that. We had three at one time, and now we're down to two nursing homes that we go to once a month. And we have a meeting with
Um,
them. And that's where I discovered I needed to be able to sing and play an instrument at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad to hear about this because I didn't realize this whole side to your story. It's amazing what you and your husband are doing. Um, and so when you started with learning to play the harp, I saw your video of you like unboxing your brand new harpsichord and then
Yes.
tuning it on the first day. I guess you'd had a little bit of time with your friend's harpsichord before that, but then I saw you your first day of learning and you learned from clouds are parting, which is so cool. But how
Mhm.
was it learning in the very beginning on your own? Did you have any challenges that you faced, any frustrations, or anything holding you back?
Well, when I play the flute, I only play one note at a time, and it's in the treble clef. And so bass clef was quite intimidating for me. And the thought of actually playing the whole chord instead of just the note, the one note that I could play at a time, was kind of daunting for me, a little nerve-wracking. And when you play the flute, I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but your fingers stay on the same keys and they just move up and down. You don't go from side to side at all. And that was the problem I was having with the piano is going from to different keys. And so with the harp, I knew I was going to have to move from one string to the next. And that was probably the scariest part for me.
Mm. And what made you think about joining an online program? Did that feel like a big step for you? Did it feel a little risky? Or tell me about that process.
It was a risk and because I don't know you all. And so that made me a little uncomfortable, not sure what it would be like. And I'd never done an online training program before. And there was some money investment, and we have to be very careful about where we spend our dollars. And so I needed someone that would be able to instruct me in a way that um, was musical already. I didn't want to just start with learning strings or this chord or all that theory. I needed to go on and start making music. And so that was one of the things that drew me to learning the harp. One of the other hesitations I had was my time schedule. I wanted to make sure that if I got into a program that I would be able to commit myself fully to that. And I had some events where that were drawing us out of town and things like that. So I had to make sure that that 6 week program fit within 6 weeks that fit with my life too. And so I found later that that probably wouldn't have made as much of a difference as I thought it would. But
Why is that?
well, because there were some people in our class that had things where they missed a session or something like that, and they were able to continue after the 6 weeks was up, continue with the course. I thought, it was like college class where you had to show up at class and if you missed out, you missed out. And so but having the recordings, I was able to go back and review things and um even if something drew me away a little bit, I would have been able to jump back in there. So
Mm.
it's very flexible and I needed that.
So, had you ever learned a skill online like this before? And yeah, what made
No.
this feel like something that you could try?
Well, I guess it was just a leap of faith. The fact that your picture was on the Kingdom magazine or the catalog that when I bought the harp in the first place, and it's offered a couple of free lessons, I think, the trial. And
Mhm.
so I went on and found that I was able to learn from it and learned well. So I thought that would be something to continue. And shortly after I started following the YouTube channel and signed up for the trial, you went on maternity leave. And so most of my interactions were with Carrie, and she's just sweet and easy to work with and very, flexible, understanding. So I
Oh,
had no
yeah,
problem
she's
working with
wonderful.
Carrie.
She's such a great person to guide you through the process as well.
Very
So,
patient.
yeah. And when you signed up for this program, what were you hoping to achieve by the end of 6 weeks? Did you have any thoughts about it, or were you just like, well, let's see what happens?
I was hoping to achieve just a basic competence because I'm pretty good at learning on my own on things. With my music background helps to as long as it was in the treble clef for me to be able to play certain things. But I needed just a launch, I guess, a boost to get me started and to make sure I had proper technique. And the fact that there were others that were learning along with me for the first time, that was encouraging as well. I needed a accountability to move me forward in a program because otherwise I didn't know what to study next or which thing to try next. I did get a few harp books and they were easy hymns and things like that that I hoped that I could learn on my own, but I needed that boost to kind of get started to know what to try next. And I think that's where the program came in very helpful.
And you had been learning for a few months before you started with Harp Beginnings, right?
Yeah, I got my harp at the end of February last year. And so I've had it 1 year.
Ah.
And I was going to take that first class, but there was an event that we had that was going to get in the way. And so I waited until the next 6 weeks class came up. And it happened to fit in between trips. And so I was able to take that particular course, that 6 week course, and and got started from there.
Okay, so let's look at what it was actually like once you started in the program. When you dived into that first week, how did it feel? Was it different to how you expected, or tell me about that?
The first piece was a little simpler than I expected it to be. Because we were using both hands, but we were only playing one note at a time, which was very familiar to me since I had played the flute.
It's like flute on the
And I
harp.
could actually, right, and I could actually play the piece that we were learning on my flute. So I knew what it should sound like, and I knew where the notes were. I knew how to read the notes, and so that first piece came very easily to me. When we started getting into other pieces where we were using both hands at the same time and moving across strings a little bit more, that was a little more challenging for me.
Mm.
But I didn't feel like I was being pushed at any time during that first 6 week course. It was more confirmation and learning proper technique, how to hold
Mm.
my hands and things like that. And my fingers are a lot shorter and stubbier than Carrie's. And so watching her on the videos with her long fingers and my little stubby ones, then my hands didn't look like hers. And that bothered me at first. And so I worked really hard to try and make my thumbs stick up higher, but I have little short thumbs, and so
Yeah,
my
I have
hands just
small
did look
hands,
different.
but I have quite long thumbs compared to the rest of my fingers. So I often have to reassure people, don't worry if your thumb, like, thumbs up, but my thumb is very long. So you have to kind of translate it into your own personal anatomy. So what
Right.
was it like to have that feedback and support from a harp teacher along the way? Because you had the weekly progress calls and then you also had a feedback video, right?
Well, yes, I really enjoyed the progress calls and was able to get an opportunity to play during those and encourage the other students and hear from them to see how they were doing as well. And that was fun. And it also helped me be more excited about playing the harp and practiced more because I knew that I was going to have an opportunity to play in 1 week, and I needed to make some progress in that week in order to be able to do that. And so that really encouraged me to practice more and to be more engaged.
And how did it feel to have a clear plan compared to figuring things out on your own?
Oh, it was definitely better. I felt like I could make a goal that I could make significant progress because on my own, I wasn't sure if I was missing skills along the way, that there might be gaps in my learning. And that's the problem when you try to self-teach any skill. There might be gaps that you aren't aware of because you don't have that experienced instructor guiding you through a particular course. And unless it's a structured course, you're going to come across things like that. And that's one of the things I learned with my learning the flute with my private instructor that I had all those years, the same teacher all the way through from fifth grade all the way into high school.
Oh,
She was she was very good about making sure I didn't miss any of the skills along the way because when I got into more advanced pieces, I had to have those skills already under my fingers in order to be able to move and play that piece. And so my biggest worry, I guess you could say, was being self-taught was that I would miss those skills. And then when I would get to a more challenging piece, I would be lacking that vital skill in order to accomplish it. And so with the course, the Learning the Harp course, all of the videos are in a sequence where you can make sure that you're getting the skills that you need along the way. And that was very comforting to me.
Mm. And were you surprised by anything as you were learning to play?
I was surprised at the difference that it made in my ability to play. And I started off and I was thinking, oh, well, the very first piece, it's so easy. This is no big deal. But when I got into green sleeves, that was a little more challenging. And then I actually heard another student that added the glissando. And for the first time, I started playing around with the harp and trying to add my own little flair to it and make the music really mine. And so I added chords and then I added the glissando and I added some other things. And I thought, this is really nice. This is fun. It's expressing me. And so that surprised me that I was able to move into that free expression a little earlier. I still don't play flute by ear. I have to have the notes written there in front of me, and I play what's written on the paper, and I don't play much else. And so the thought that I could play the harp without actually reading the notes, most of what I was doing was from memory, and I was able to improvise a little bit, and that was exciting to me because I had never done that before.
Mm. So I guess part of that could have also come from learning to play from chords. There was a workshop that you
Yes.
did, learning to play from chords. Tell us about that.
I had a minor in music and I really didn't understand music, the chords, until I had that class. And that really made a difference for me in my understanding of just music, how the chords fit together, and how I always could hear the progression of when the chords changed, and I could feel with the music which direction it was going, but I didn't understand it until I actually took that workshop that you had for playing with chords. That really made a difference. I really enjoyed that.
Mm.
I
So
think that was my favorite part of the course.
really, well,
Yeah,
I think it just fitted perfectly with your reason for wanting to learn. That I'm
it did.
hoping that through that you were able to start to accompany yourself singing.
Well, I sang one time when I was playing the harp because I'm still focused very much on what I'm doing with my fingers, and it makes singing along with it very difficult. But I did notice that when I took my harp, I have taken my harp several times to the nursing home, and they really enjoy that because not very many people play the harp, and some of them may have never seen a live harpist before. And even though my skills are very rudimentary still, they really get a lot out of it. They enjoy it. And then afterwards, I would go up and let them pluck the strings. And that was so exciting to them. Some of them were afraid to touch it. And I said, oh, go ahead, pull on that string. You're not going to hurt anything, And oh, my hands are so weak. And I said, here, let me help you. And so um, we played the harp together and they got to play a few things. Oh, just do a glissando. Just pull your finger across there and see how that sounds. And they were so excited about it. And a couple of ladies just they I would take the harp and I would lay it against their chest and they would feel that. And I had one lady that's blind, and she was so excited to feel the music all through her
Oh,
body. That was just really a blessing to be able to take the harp. I couldn't do that with the flute, and with the harp I could.
mm,
And recently, my mother-in-law, she was in the nursing home, but she recently passed away. And before she died, I was able to take my harp to her room and play for her for a while. And I could see that she just relaxed and she just enjoyed listening. And so that was a real blessing to have that instrument. Or I couldn't have taken my flute in there and played for her, but I could take my harp, and she
mm.
really liked that.
There's
So
something extra soothing about the harp. It's a privilege to
yes,
be able to play an instrument like that.
yes.
Yeah.
And actually was therapeutic. And after, well, we had a lot of losses this year. My father-in-law died in October, and my mother-in-law died in November, 6 weeks
Wow.
later. And so For me, I was very sad, and I would go and play the harp, and it was like therapy for me. It helped me to
Oh.
relax and to relieve some of those emotions that were pent up for me. So,
Mm, wow. So it's already become therapy for others and for you.
yes,
Wow, that's so beautiful. All within your first year of playing.
yes.
Incredible. Wow. So, in this program, you learned to play three songs and play from chords. What did it feel like to reach those milestones and kind of complete the program?
Well, it kind of propelled me forward, made me want to learn the next one and the next one. And there are a couple of songs on your list that I really enjoyed. One in particular was Annie's song, and I played that on my flute when I was a teenager. And so hearing that and having that available, I thought, oh, I really want to learn to play that. And I know you had different levels of Annie's song, and I didn't want to ruin it by taking it too easily. I didn't want to miss out on all the pretty chords and things like that. So I waited until I could try the early intermediate version of Annie's song. And so I just am finishing that up right now. And it was so exciting to me to be able to move forward like that. And so having those first three classes gave me confidence to be able to move forward into the next one. And at the end, I was able to get an annual, uh, was it an
Annual
annual
membership?
membership where I was
Mhm.
able to get my credits in advance. So I didn't have to feel like I had to be so careful about how I spent my credits
Mhm.
because I had enough where I felt like I could take that course and then I had more left over where I could take another one when I needed to. Having the three pieces under my fingers gave me confidence to be able to try the next one and to move into a more challenging piece.
Mm. Yeah, it's great that you can now do that at your own pace because often in the beginning of our learning, we go through pieces quicker because they're shorter pieces and
Yes.
there's not as much involved. And when you get a little further along, don't feel discouraged if you start taking some more than a month to learn a piece sometimes. And so that's great that you've got all your credits, you can kind of decide your pace, and
Right.
you might find that they last a little longer further down the road.
Right, they do. And I noticed that too. When we first got started, we might go through part E and Annie Song has through part I. And so there's a lot more videos and you get a lot more for that one credit for the
Yeah.
more advanced pieces, but you have to also have the skills to be able to move forward in those. And so
Hmm.
it's been a challenge for me to be it's my first intermediate level piece and I'm really enjoying it, but it has been a bit of a challenge. And my poor husband gets to listen to the same measure over and over and over
Well, that's
again.
good. You know, when you're kind of annoying someone with your practice, then you know that you're repeating a lot of times.
I did that with my poor sister when I was learning the flute. I had a book called Ledger Domain that was just everything was in the upper register, trying to practice playing those very high notes and
Oh.
learning how to read those very high notes. And they were in every different key and with accidentals thrown in and all this stuff just to make it challenging. And they were just awful. They were awful. And my poor sister, she said, that she knew I just came in there to practice just to disrupt her because we had to share a room, of course. There were four
Oh, no.
girls in the family, and we all shared one room. And she was the only one that didn't play an instrument. And so she would be run out of the house and I'd go in there to play and she's, I want to listen to the radio. And I would go to practice anyway and tell her, well, it's my homework. I have to for school. And so she would have to go in another room. And she was sure I did that on purpose just to annoy her. And so
I
I
wouldn't
feel like
blame
my
her if
husband
she
has,
purposefully took up an instrument that's really loud just so she could have
yes,
her
yeah.
chance.
At least it wasn't drums, right? My brother played those.
I've heard
But
that banjo
anyway,
is quite a hectic one to have someone practicing
yes.
banjo in your house, but we should have like a
But
competition of which instrument is most annoying to other people in your home to practice. It's
exactly.
definitely not harp, at least that
No,
we
it's
know.
not. But my husband was has to listen to it, and every now and then I'll when I finally get this difficult part together, and I play it, and he'll say, "Oh yeah, that sounds better," and so he actually encourages me.
Oh,
And
that's
another
good.
encouraging thing, I know this sounds really goofy, but when the weather is nice I have to let my chickens out to free range supervised because we have a lot of predator pressure here. And so I go out and I let the chickens out and I'll take my harp with me and I'll play outside for my chickens. And
Oh,
I know it sounds weird, but they really appreciate the harp music. And so some of them stand near real close to me and they cock their head from side to side and listen. And
oh, that's
yeah,
so
it's kind of
cute. You need
weird.
to take a video of that. That is very cute. I don't know if you've seen, but we have a few videos on our channel where I was just fascinated by people saying that their pets love the harp. And so I think I did two videos where I was kind of watching videos that people had sent in of them playing for their pets. I don't know if you've seen them. And then one where I experimented with playing my harp for all the different animals to see which one loved harp the most.
Did you play for a chicken?
I think I tried. So we have some footage of me like chasing after the chickens with my harp, and I was like calling them, and they wouldn't come. So we were on a bit of time pressure to film the video, and I didn't manage to convince the chickens to stand in one place and listen to me play the harp.
It helps if you feed them. You put a little
Yeah,
food right
true.
there
I should
close
have
at
probably done
hand.
that. Oh man. Did this experience feel different from learning other instruments or, learning your harp, or learning with an in-person teacher? Was there anything that stood out to you about this method?
Learning with an in-person teacher, I was limited to that 30 minutes on that schedule every week. And that was the only interaction I had with my teacher was just that 30 minutes. But having the video, I could go back and watch it again and again and see what the finger placement looked like and hear it, what it's supposed to sound like as opposed to what I'm playing, and review those parts that I didn't quite get. And so that was an advantage having the video as opposed to having a live teacher. Um, Also, it's important that the personality click with between the student and the teacher in order for that rapport to be established. And you don't have to worry about that as much with the online class. I'd never met you before until we got to one of those Harp Grove play-alongs or whatever, and
Yes.
that was the first time we actually spoke to each other. But I had met you already on the videos because of the classes that we took, and so it it made it easier for me to feel like I knew my teacher because I know you didn't know me, but I knew you
You had
from the
spent a lot
video.
of time with me.
Yes, I had. I had already spent quite a bit of time with you, watching your fingers mostly. And so I like the online, the video recording in that way because it was I was able to reinforce what I needed and hear that again and again. And the parts that I already knew or that I felt like I had mastered, I didn't have to go back and review those. And
Mhm.
with your uh, in-person teaching, you're limited to that one 30-minute segment once a week. And if you make a mistake and learn it wrong, you don't find out for a week that you've learned it wrong. And then you have to unlearn what you learned and learn it again. And so I didn't have that issue with the harp. And so that made things, I think, a little faster, a little smoother.
Mm. And looking back now, how did the program help you to overcome the challenges that you faced before? You talked about kind of not being sure if you were doing the right thing. What feels different now about your harp journey?
Well, I know where to go to get the skills that I feel like I might need. The skill library is wonderful that's available to me as a member. And also going back and reviewing the videos to make sure that I have those skills under my belt. It gave me the direction where I knew to look, where to look to get the information I needed if I should have a challenge on a piece, a particular piece.
Mhm. And what does playing the harp mean to you now after like this journey that you've been on so far?
It's a joy. And one of the things I did early on to help me practice more was I put my harp in a prominent place in my home where I have to pass by it several times a day. And I can't pass by it without wanting to strum the strings and interact with it. And so it's become a part of my life where that wasn't there before. And so I find it very enriching. Um, like I said, it was therapy for me. When I was sad, I could
Mm.
play my feelings on the harp, and that really helped. Um, it, it's been a joy, and I've been able to share that with other people, and that feels good too.
Mm. And beautiful that you're able to step outside of just playing exactly every note that's on the page so that you are able to express yourself maybe in a different way to when you're kind of restricted to just exactly what the sheet music says.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
It's very personal that way, you know.
Mm.
And it just feels good to be able to express yourself with music.
Mm.
When you're a musician, you understand what that means. People who are not musically inclined may not understand quite what that means to be able to express yourself in music.
Mm.
But it is a creative outlet for me, and it's important to be able to express yourself in a creative way, whether that be artwork or music, whatever your creativity is. And so I have an instrument now that I can be more creative with.
Yeah, it's a special feeling when you've been in that classical box for many, many years, just playing what's on the page. And I
Mhm.
experienced this myself as well. A moment as an adult where I suddenly broke free from that and was able to start expressing myself, playing from chords, even starting to
Mhm.
kind of write my own music and things like that. It's incredible how you suddenly just feel set free.
Mhm. Yes.
I'm so glad that you had that experience and that harp could do that for you. Yeah, really
I am
cool.
too. And I'm grateful for the instruction because if I hadn't gotten through that first course, I would not have been able to do that. I would have still been stuck in my old mode of looking for the notes on the page and finding which string that was and trying to match them. Um, to be able to play what's in my head and in my heart is nice.
Hmm.
I'm not real good at it yet, but it's still fun to try.
I think you're doing great. Sounds beautiful. So, if someone watching this is hesitant to start learning to play harp, or unsure if Harp Beginnings is right for them, what would you say to encourage them to get started?
It's an investment in yourself. And you have to make a decision which thing you want to invest in. And so when you decide that you want to invest in yourself and spend some time growing this creativity, this skill, um, then do it. It's time to do it. And I don't see how people can go through their entire life without investing something in themselves. And so a lot of moms, especially, will spend a lot of time investing in their children and they'll invest in other people, but they don't invest in themselves. And so this is an opportunity for you to invest in yourself and to do something that will enrich you and your life. And then you can use that skill to enrich the lives of others.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Ah, so encouraging. No, you're so inspiring. Wow. Um, and what's the biggest piece of advice you'd give to somebody who's just starting their harp journey?
Biggest piece of advice would be to put your harp in a place where you can see it and where you have to pass by it several times a day through your day, and then make a commitment to when you pass by, not to just walk past it, but to at least touch it and pluck a string to hear what it sounds like. And I can tell when my harp is going out of tune because when I've walked by it so many times and I pluck that C and it's like, oh, wait a minute, that C doesn't quite sound right because I'm familiar with it now, with it being a prominent place in my home. And so I have to walk past it several times a day. And I practiced in the morning when I got up, and then I practiced in the evening before I went to bed. And that twice a day. And the first practice of the day was my real practice, where I was practicing the music that I was trying to learn. And then my practice before I went to bed was I'm just playing, just plucking notes, playing chords, getting familiar with my instrument, and that was the fun time, it relaxed me and helped me to get ready for sleep. And so having it there in front of you where you can't miss it, you can't ignore it, that would be my advice if you're going to start a new course like that. Make it a part of every day. where you can't avoid it.
And what's next on the horizon for Jackie? Are you going to push yourself to accompany the people at the senior center, or what's next for you?
I go to the senior center every month. We missed this month's meeting because my husband was ill, and we didn't want to share any icky germs with them
Oh, yeah.
because they're fragile anyway. But and last month I didn't feel like I had anything that I could play well enough on the harp to share at that point because I'd been distracted so much. But so once a month I get an opportunity to play something with the nursing home residents, and so for me my goal would be to at some point have something that I could play and sing at the same time so they could sing along with me. That would be priceless. So,
Yeah, well, I don't think it should take too long. I think you must just keep it super, super, super simple. So I want to
yes.
encourage you, just keep it at like simple triads. Just play 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I mean, I'm not
Mhm.
counting correctly, but you know what I mean. Keep it super, super
Yes.
simple and do it sooner rather than feeling like it's this big thing that you need to do perfectly later. Even if you find that you're struggling a little to sing and play in the beginning, you could just sing the first line, and if it's a song they know, then leave them to carry on singing and you can focus on playing. So
I've already done that with Amazing
there
Grace.
we go.
I've played
Yeah.
Amazing Grace and they started singing and they got ahead of me. And so I'm trying to catch up on the on that play. And so I kind of skipped some of the inbuilt, the chord progression there where you play three notes in a row. Instead of
Yes.
doing that because they were moving on. I just played the one and went on and sang. I could sing a little bit along with them, but when I did, I learned it messed up my harp playing. I missed the strings or I missed my chord or
But it's so
but
much easier when you just play basic chords rather than playing the
right.
melody at the same time as singing or trying to play the melody along with someone else. So see how simple you can make it to just play some chords and let them do the singing. And I want to challenge you to see if you can do that the next time you go, because I know that was your goal when you first started, and I don't want it
Yes.
to become this big, long, far away thing that you have to be perfect before you do it. Push yourself to just do a simple version now, because you've come so far, and I think you are fully capable to do that already. So
Well,
well
thank
done for all the progress you've made, and keep going, keep moving forwards. I'm excited to see what you achieve and how you like I think it's just really exciting that what you're doing is blessing other people and you're really impacting other people's lives positively. So keep going with that, and hopefully that will feel like extra motivation to just keep on learning new things because you can share it with other people and make a real difference in their day. So well done. Keep it up.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Now, if you're like Jackie and you'd like some accountability in your harp journey to make sure that you're learning the right way and it's setting you up for success in the future, maybe you would enjoy being a part of Harp Beginnings. So click the link over here to read more information, and hopefully we'll see you there. Bye.